Today we are going to cover 8.4, constructing angle bisectors. This is a grade 7 assignment in the textbook. But first we're going to review how to measure an angle using a protractor. So I'm going to draw a random angle here, and then we'll start measuring it. So let's measure this angle using a protractor. So I take my protractor, and that is the circle thing here, and I'm going to put line to line and then T to the intersection. And what that means is I've got this bottom line needs to go to either this line or this line. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to put this T to the intersection of the lines where they intersect. There we go. Now, if I start counting up from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, looks like about 42 degrees. Now let's try doing it from the upside down way. So I'm going to put line to line, so this time I'm going to put line to line there, T to the intersection where the lines intersect. There we go. Count up from 0, 10, 20, 30, 42. Now, oftentimes, a student will make a mistake here. A student might say, well, I think it's 138 degrees. Well, that student sees that this is between 30 and 140, and they're counting from the wrong side, because we always have to start counting at 0. So we don't want to start counting up at the 180. We want to start at the 0. Now, let's get a little complicated. Let's extend this line. There we go. And we know that half of a circle is 180. So I'm going to measure all the way from the half circle like this. So I know that this is 180 right here. And then I'm going to measure this angle. This is called an obtuse angle. Obtuse means it's greater than 90 degrees. So I'm going to put line to line, T to the intersection right there. Start counting at 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and it keeps going up until there's my line right there. I don't know if you can see it, but that was my dotted extension of the line. And I see that it is at 135 right there. 135. Now if we add them all up, it should add up to 360, but I can see I was probably out by a degree or two, because I have 1, 200, 310, 315. That's 355, 357. So I ended up with 357 total. So it looks like I was out by a degree or two in 1 or 2 spots. But as long as we get close enough, that works out well. So that's your review with your protractor. You put line to line, intersection to intersection, and then find where your line goes to, starting up at the 0. Now, we're going to talk about how to do a bisecting line. And a bisecting line means it cuts it right in half. Now, in this assignment, I notice it says it asks you to use something called a mirror. And I didn't know what a mirror was before this, and I had to research it, and I looked it up. What a mirror is it's this piece of glass that is kind of like a mirror, but in what it does is when you hold it up, if there's a line on this side, it'll make it reflect on the other side. Now, we don't have one of those, but we're going to bisect it without one. I'm going to show you how. So if I measure line to line, and oops, I've got this upside down, intersection to intersection, I can see that this is about 42 degrees. So if I go to half of 42, 21, 21, I'm going to put a dot there, draw a little line. I now have a line that is bisecting my angle. And so we have 42 there and 21 here. And that line is now bisecting or cutting perfectly in half my other angle. Now, in one example, the textbook asks you to do a fold to bisect a line. So let's take this. There we go. If I look at the example here, it says to you, here's some other strategies of bisecting an angle. It says fold the paper so XY lies along ZY. And what that means is this. We're going to call this X, Y, and Z. XYZ. So here's XY and ZY. It says fold the paper so that XY lays along ZY. And what that means, hold on, I'll get that folded. A little hard to do this with the camera, so I'll do my best. I have now folded the paper so that when I fold it together, those lines met up. And what I end up with is this line right here. And as you can see, that, well, when it gets clear, you can see that it perfectly bisects the angle. We'll wait until that focus comes into view. Now that I pause the video and let the focus get a little better, you can see that it's perfectly bisecting. Now, one thing is, it then also talks about a pie. So let's take a look at this pie. It says, your teacher will give you a large copy of this picture. Nah, we can just draw an angle on a piece of paper. And it's saying, how can you split it into two equal parts? So here's my pie. It's a little bit straight over here. But to split it into two equal parts, just like before, line to line, T to intersection, count up, it seems to be 52. So half of 52 would be a bisecting line. So I go half of 52 is 26. Line to line, T to intersection, count up, 26, there's my line. And I've perfectly bisected this piece of pie, so if someone's really particular about how much pie they get, you can show them definitively you have not cheated them. Now, we're going to create this example, which is also in your assignment. And here we go. Let's take a look. This one took some reading for me. I had to read it over a couple of times, and then I thought, you know what? I just need to do it one step at a time, and it's all going to be clear. It says, draw an obtuse angle B, measured 126. Okay, so obtuse angle B. So I'm going to measure like this. And to get 126, I'm going to go line to line. I'm going to put the T to where I will have the intersection. 126. Now someone might go like this, right here. But they didn't start at 0, start at 0. 126 right there, okay? So there is my angle, shaboom. And it said that was going to be labeled angle B. Then it says, use B as one angle of a rhombus. With a compass, draw a point on B, draw a circle that intersects one arm at F and the other at G. So to do that, I'm going to get my compass. I'm going to make some room so I can rotate my page, because that makes it a little easier. And it said to put my point at B. There, now I'm going to try to be careful not to change the size of this. So here we go. I'm going to turn my paper. So that makes it a little easier. There we go, looks like I got a tiny bit bigger. And then the next direction says, don't change the distance between the compass and pencil points. Place the compass point on F, draw a circle. So place it on F, and place it on G, and draw those circles. We'll label those F and G. There's my points. Make sure my compass is the same distance as last time. There we go. It says put it on F and draw a circle. So here we go. And then I'm going to do it on G. There we go. Pardon me, I have to move it around to make sure I've got enough space. Looks like I should have made my compass a little bit smaller to begin with. Well, let's compare to where I have it now. So it looks like this, and it says label the point H where the circles intersect, just like that, okay? So the circles intersect there, and that is H. Join FH and HG to form rhombus BFHG. This is where your head starts swimming. But if you look real close, F to H, F to H. So let's join that. Okay. F to H. So I found these directions confusing until I did them one at a time. FH and HG, H to G. Okay. H to G. Now I notice they have these little spots here, and that means that those lines are equal. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's got parallel and parallel. I usually like to show it like this so that you can see these are parallel, those are parallel. And it said we now have rhombus BFHG. BFHG. That's our rhombus right there, or our parallelogram. Draw a line through BH, like that. This line is the angle bisector. Okay, so let's draw that line and then we'll look back at that bisector thing. So it says that this line is the bisector of this angle. And if you recall, when we did this angle, it was 126 degrees. So you can probably imagine what this angle is. Well, think about it. What would the bisector angle of 126 be? It would be exactly half of that. So half of 120 is 60, 63 degrees. So it says this line is the angle bisector of FBG. That is, FBH is equal to HBG. So that means that this angle, FBH, this angle, would be equal to the angle here, HBG. So this part feels complicated at first. Do it one step at a time, and you're good to go. Good luck on your assignment. I look forward to talking with you about it and helping you do excellent.